Hello everyone, my name is Hannah Coomer, the Director of Music here at St. John's Lutheran Church and School in Grand Haven, Michigan. I am also the K through 8th grade music teacher here. We are now talking about the 7th day after Pentecost. It is July 15th and 16th of 2023. Our gospel reading is Matthew 13, 1 through 9, and verses 18 through 23. The song we are talking about today is Desert Song by Hillsong. And I need to give you guys all a really quick warning and a little trigger warning ahead of time. If you are sensitive to death and death of a child or anything in that shape or manner, I really suggest that you guys skip ahead to when we talk about the verses, because it is going to get a little sad with how the song was created. But with that all being said, and I gave you guys a little warning, I'm going to give you just a small little time to go skip ahead. Okay. If you stayed along, now let us talk about the Desert Song by Hillsong. I want to quickly also mention that all my information came from a YouTube video of Jill talking about her experience. The interview is under the title Hillsong United Desert Song Behind the Story, and it is under the YouTube channel Earn Your Life. So that is where a lot of my information came from. A lot of my other information for biblical context is from the website The Berean Test, which is the BEREAN test. And then it is .com/hillsong-united-desert-song. So the BereanTest.com/hillsong-united-desert-song. That is where I got a lot of my biblical quotes from. So the song was written by Jill McLaury. She wrote it in about 2008 and 2009. A week and a half before they recorded the album This Is Our God, Jill went into labor, and she was 6 months pregnant at that point. And when she went into labor, she had her baby Max, and he was really, really small, but he was alive, which was really good at that moment. He stayed in the hospital, and from my understanding of hearing the story, baby Max lived up to 23 weeks and 5 days old. But sadly, he passed away soon after that night. Jill says that night, after everything that just happened, she remembers sitting in the hospital and telling herself, I need to sing. She knew she still needed to worship God, and reminded herself that, and I want to quote her because how she said it was so beautiful, God is still God. It doesn't change what God called me to be or called me to do. He's still on the throne in heaven. You know, he still rules, and he's still bigger than everything that I am feeling. And I think that is very, very important to remember, that God is still God. Desert Song is a prayer for all who are going through troubling times, and to remember, and I want to still quote her, God is still God. He's bigger than everything you are going through, than you are feeling. And I think that is very, very important. With that all being said, let's talk about verse 1 of the Desert Song. Here is what verse 1 says. This is my prayer in the desert, when all that within me feels dry. This is my prayer in my hunger and need. My God is the God who provides. So verse 1 is referring to when Jesus was in the desert and Satan tries to tempt him, back in Matthew 4, 1 through 11. Also in Mark 1, 12 through 13, and Luke 4, 1 through 13. I also think this is a cool reminder that Jesus went through the pains and trials that we all face as human beings, because it's a reminder that Jesus is both true man and true God, all in one. So I think that is a really cool reminder, and talks through that as well. Verse 2 reads, and this is my prayer in the fire, in weakness or trial or pain. There is a faith proved of more worth than gold, to refine me, Lord, through the flame. Verse 2 is talking about the trials and tribulations we all will face as Christians, referencing from Romans 5, 3 through 5, Hebrews 12, verses 4, 1 through 11, and also James 1, 2 through 4. Also, it is saying that faith is more important than gold, which also is referencing from 1 Peter 1 through 7. I also see this really cool reference back to Daniel 3, where Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are thrown into the fiery furnace. and for not worshiping the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar had brought up. And they were protected by the faith that God will deliver them from the hands of King Nebuchadnezzar. And I think that is also a cool reference. I saw that when I was reading the verse for verse 2. Let's talk about the chorus real quick. And I will bring praise, I will bring praise. No weapons formed against me shall remain. I will rejoice, I will declare, God is my victory, and he is here. And that is just a reminder that I will bring praise and I will rejoice. That is from almost every psalm that you can think of. Psalm 86 verse 12, Psalm 103 verses 1 through 2, Psalm 103 verses 22, Psalm 119, 10, and Psalm 138 verse 1. And then the part where it says, no weapons formed against me shall remain, is from Isaiah 54 verse 17. And the part saying, God is my victory and he is here, Romans 8:37, and 1 Corinthians 15 through 57. And I think that is so cool that we need to, that no matter what is going on, I will praise you, I will rejoice. It is a cool remembrance of the story that, like, even with this troubling time, I will praise you. You are still God. There's nothing better than that. No matter what happens, God is still God. He's still on the throne, and I will praise you. I will worship you. And that is just amazing. Let's talk about verse 3. Verse 3 reads, and this is my prayer in the battle, when triumph is still on its way. I am a co-heir with Christ. So firm on his promise, I'll stand. So verse 3 is from Romans 8, verse 17, and 2 Peter 3 through 9. And I see this really cool reference to the Battle of Jericho in Joshua 6, 1 through 27, where God promised this land to his people. And God told them, go blow trumpets, go around Jericho and blow trumpets. And on the seventh day, Jericho fell. They followed God's promise, and it is an amazing reminder that God's promise to you, he is faithful to his promise. And even like the promise back when Adam and Eve happened, they promised that they will be saved, and he fulfilled his promise by giving us Jesus. All of God's promises he fulfills. He doesn't lie. He continues his promise. And I think that is a really cool thing, that so firm on his promise, I will stand. I think that's really cool. Let's talk about the bridge now. The bridge reads, all of my life, in every season, you are still God, and I have a reason to sing. I have a reason to worship. That is referencing, in one sense that I saw, Jill's story, that no matter what season, what trials, what pains you are going through, God is still there. And also it references Ecclesiastes 3, 1 through 8. Whatever season is happening in your life, God is there. Also, God is eternal. That is from Deuteronomy 33, verse 27. Also, God is unchanging, from Numbers 23, verse 19. So sing for joy, worship, and worship him. That is from Psalms 96, the whole thing. Verse 4 reads, this is my prayer in the harvest, when favor and providence flow. I know I'm filled to be emptied again. The seed I received, I will sow. That references our gospel reading from Matthew 13, 1 through 23, the parable of the sower of the seed. And I want to read to you real quick from Matthew 13, 18 through 23. Here it reads, hear then the parable of the sower. When anyone hears the word of the kingdom and does not understand it, the evil one comes and snatches away what has been sown in their heart. This is what was sown along the path. As for what was sown on rocky ground, this is the one who hears the word and immediately receives it with joy. Yet he has no root in himself, but endures for a while. And when tribulation and persecution arises on the account of the word, immediately he falls away. As for what was sown among thorns, this is the one who hears the word, but the cares of the world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and it proves unfruitful. And as for what was sown on good soil, this is the one who hears the word and understands it. He indeed bears the fruit and yields, in one case 100-fold, and in another 60, and in another 30. That is from Matthew 13:18 through 23. Thank you guys so much for joining me on this adventure of talking about Desert Song for the week of the 7th Sunday after Pentecost. I hope you guys really enjoyed Behind the Song, and I will see you guys next time.